In Nala City, India, a young girl named Sulo and two friends had just left a wedding. The three of them stopped in front of a lake. Sulo decided to go for a swim, while her two friends followed her to play hide and seek. The girl dove underwater to hide. While her two friends tried to find a way to catch her, neither of them was a good swimmer, so they only dared to stand in the shallow area. When Sulo intended to sneak up behind one of them to scare them, that person suddenly discovered her and held her back with their hands. But at that very moment, Sulo was violently pulled underwater by something. Her two friends were immediately confused and panicked, calling out her name until they managed to grab her hand, but what they pulled up was only an arm that had been ripped from Sulo's body. Both were terrified to the extreme, rushing away from the lake in despair while the girl's body sank to the bottom and was caught by a giant predator. Nearby, two social media influencers, Maruti and Avani, fell into another equally dangerous situation. They were trapped in a giant swimming pool after all the water in it had drained away. There was no one around. Avani screamed for help, but no one heard, and both were forced to wait a very long time for any hope of being rescued. A few days before that incident, Maruti and Avani had formed a very unusual collaboration on social media. While Avani was a famous influencer from a wealthy family, Maruti was someone trying to make a living by filming short videos for his music. Using the stage name Flopara, the high of them came from two completely different worlds, but their paths crossed when Maruti and his manager, Fabric, tried to film a music video. They used a drone for filming, but accidentally flew across private property, causing security guards to appear and question the intruders. Amidst the ongoing argument, Maruti saw a beautiful girl standing there observing everything and quickly realized it was Avani, the famous influencer known by the nickname Lady Vanity. A connection between the two appeared immediately, and Maruti took advantage of that opportunity to draw his sign on the door so the girl could find him on the internet. Afterward, he and Fabric were kicked out of the place, but Avani actually searched for that sign online and tracked down Maruti's social media account. A few days later, the rapper participated in a competition for newcomers where they would choose the next rap star of the country. After much effort, Maruti earned the chance to perform and became the next person to step out in front of dozens of audience members. However, when the crucial moment came, he was so nervous that he couldn't sing, standing motionless in front of everyone. Soon after, boos rang out. The audience began to chase him off the stage. Maruti's career seemed over before it even began, but amidst the angry crowd, he suddenly noticed Avani looking at him with curiosity. Seeing her once again, Maruti felt motivated. He jumped onto the roof of a car on the stage and began to sing. Within seconds, the audience's opposition turned into rounds of applause. People began to like the boldness of the rapper, who was singing about the hardships on the journey to fame when coming from poverty. When the performance ended, the whole place erupted in loud applause. As for Avani, she was extremely impressed by the young man, seeing in him a promising face for the future. Immediately after leaving the stage, Maruti found Fabric and told him that he had seen Avani in the crowd. The young rapper believed this could be an opportunity to reach a larger audience, so he decided to chase her to propose a collaboration. Upon reaching the parking lot, he saw Avani preparing to leave. Without hesitation, Maruti climbed onto the hood of a car and called her back, asking to speak. The girl's manager was extremely unhappy with that action, but Avani was surprised by the rapper's courage and said she would answer him on social media. However, Maruti didn't want to wait that long. He and Fabric immediately sped off on a motorcycle to chase Avani's car on the road. When he caught up, Maruti said he wanted to collaborate with the influencer because it would help both of them reach new audience groups. Once again, Avani's manager grew angry and tried to force the motorcycle off the road, but the girl ordered him to stop the car, saying she would accept the offer. The man had to pull the car over to the curb. Then Avani climbed onto Maruti's motorcycle and said she might agree to cooperate if he could surprise her. The young man then drove her along the road, and while moving, he asked how she had become such a famous influencer. Instead of answering with words, Avani proved it directly through actions. She climbed onto the gas tank of the motorcycle, started a live stream, and introduced her new collaborator for everyone to see. Maruti was surprised by Avani's natural and liberal personality, and then both continued through many places in the city. That experience made them increasingly closer. Before parting, he asked for her phone number, but instead of giving it, Avani said she would message him through social media. The young rapper waited anxiously for that message, but after many hours of waiting, Avani still didn't reply. Maruti was almost about to give up when he suddenly received a message from the girl, in which she sent him a GPS location. He immediately rushed to meet her, and both continued their date in the city, where Maruti introduced Avani to more of his world. As time passed, what initially seemed like just a business collaboration gradually turned into something much greater. Avani agreed to participate in Maruti's impromptu music videos while he also gradually understood more about the influencer's luxurious life. The two began to fall in love, and one night, The young man invited her to a tent he had set up on the rooftop of a building so they could spend a night together. However, right in the middle of the date, a heavy rain began to fall, and Maruti apologized because the evening didn't go as planned. Avani felt happy at that gesture, and then the High shared their first kiss. In the following months, their relationship became even deeper. However, Avani still had to keep the romance a secret because of her managers. Despite this, both continued to meet secretly, and Maruti decided to bring his girlfriend home to meet his family. Although Maruti's family lived in quite modest conditions, Avani still felt welcome there. And soon after, she was warmly received by Maruti's mother and siblings. After finishing lunch, the two went up to the rooftop of a building, where they could see the entire poor neighborhood where Maruti had grown up. He recounted that his dream of becoming successful started from the moment his father abandoned the family. Hearing this, Avani also confessed that she had experienced great family trauma. But in her case, that tragedy occurred in a horrific traffic accident. While Avani and her parents were on their way home, their car was tossed off a bridge and began to sink into the river. The girl was lucky enough to save herself, but her parents were trapped in the car and did not survive. More and more, the two realized they had more in common than they had ever thought. But that relationship was quickly discovered by Avani's managers. Determined to end this, they warned Avani that the young rapper was only trying to take advantage of her fame as a stepping stone for himself. However, Avani didn't believe that. She ended the argument, left the house, and went to meet Maruti once more. The two rode the motorcycle back to Maruti's neighborhood, but on the way, Avani informed her boyfriend that her managers had discovered their relationship. Maruti didn't care much about that, but Avani had something more important to say, and she revealed that she was pregnant. Hearing this news, Maruti was completely stunned. But when they got home, both tried to hide their emotions and keep it a secret. However, by evening, Avani's managers came to the neighborhood where Maruti lived and called him out for a private talk. They tried to persuade him to stay away from Avani, saying they would take care of everything, including the fact that the girl was pregnant. They even offered money for Maruti to end the relationship, but the young man felt insulted and asked those two to leave. Nevertheless, in his heart, he knew clearly that he was not ready to become a father. When he returned home, he had absolutely no idea how to face this situation. The next day, the couple decided to ride the motorcycle to Bango, bringing along Popo, Avani's little dog. However, on the way, the motorcycle broke down, leaving the three stranded in the rain until they received help from a policeman. Upon realizing Avani was a famous influencer, the policeman took the couple to his hotel so they could stay overnight. Upon arrival, the policeman spoke with an employee, asking this person to take the two up to a room and check if the pool needed cleaning. Finally, the couple went to the room. Avani went into the bathroom to clean up, while Maruti spoke on the phone with Fabric and revealed that he was about to become a father. Not realizing his girlfriend was listening, he admitted that he didn't want that to happen, even saying that now he could understand why his father had abandoned the family. Those words hurt Avani deeply. She left the room because she wanted to be alone. Outside, she met a young girl who revealed she was deaf but could still communicate with Avani using sign language. Avani said she was pregnant, and the young girl congratulated her, saying that despite the difficulties ahead, everything would eventually be fine. Avani thanked her for that advice and then returned to the bedroom. But when morning came, she decided to go down to the pool area alone. There, she put on headphones and lay on a float just as the hotel staff prepared to clean the pool. A moment later, Maruti appeared and tried to apologize for the words he had said the night before, but Avani just ignored him and continued listening to music. Seeing that she didn't want to talk, Maruti asked the staff to bring snacks while he took the motorcycle to be repaired. Before leaving, he left Popo behind at the pool area, tying the dog's leash to a chair so it wouldn't run away. Right after Maruti left, the young deaf girl also prepared to leave and left a whistle on Avani's chair as a parting gift. A few minutes later, the hotel employee sent a delivery man to bring the couple's food, while he went to check the pool's piping system. He was panicked when he saw that the area was completely flooded, and if nothing was done immediately, all the water in the pool would be drained in a short time. The employee tried to fix the pipes himself when he heard a strange sound echoing around the room. He took a flashlight and began checking the surrounding area. But before he could react, a giant crocodile suddenly appeared and attacked him with just one bite. A while later, the delivery man brought food to the hotel but didn't see the staff at the reception desk. He then went to the pool area and saw Avani lying on the float. However, the girl still didn't hear anything because she was wearing headphones. Since he still had other orders to deliver, the delivery man placed the food on the chair and headed for the exit. But just then, he noticed a strange movement in the bushes. The delivery man thought it best to leave by motorcycle, but the crocodile suddenly lunged out, knocking him to the ground. He tried to run away, but the predator attacked him and then used its giant jaws to drag his body away. Meanwhile, inside the hotel, water continued to leak through the piping system, causing the pool to dry up very quickly. Avani was still preoccupied with listening to music without knowing what was happening. But when she decided to leave the water, she realized she was trapped at the bottom of the giant pool. Panicked, she tried to scream for help, but there was absolutely no one around, except for her little dog still tied tightly by its leash. The girl searched for another escape route and saw the pool ladder, trying to reach it. But the steps were beyond her reach. Avani then took her towels, tied them together, and attached her headphones to the end of the towel to use as a hook. In this way, she tried to throw this homemade rope out of the pool. And after many attempts, she finally hooked the headphones onto the chair leg. The girl tried to use it to climb up the edge of the pool, but the chair couldn't bear her weight and began to be dragged, causing Avani's phone to fall into the pool. Although the screen was broken, she still tried to call Maruti without realizing the chair was continuing to fall, hitting her in the head and knocking her unconscious. Elsewhere, Maruti had just finished repairing the motorcycle and returned to the hotel, where he saw Avani lying unconscious inside the pool. In a panic, he tried to hold onto the ladder and called the girl. As for Avani, despite just being hit hard, she gradually regained consciousness. Maruti immediately reached out his hand to pull her up, but the ladder couldn't bear his weight, causing him to also fall into the pool and dislocate his shoulder after the fall. Avani immediately ran to help him, and with a precise movement, tried to reset Maruti's shoulder to help him move his arm again. Nevertheless, now both were trapped inside the pool and had to quickly find a way to escape as soon as possible. Maruti discovered a drain cover inside the pool leading down to the piping system, so he decided to check it out. Inside, he saw a door ahead, but the tunnel was full of water. Since he couldn't swim, the young man had to return to the pool. When he returned, he saw Avani picking up the whistle she had been given by the deaf girl. The whistle had fallen down along with the chair. She tried to blow it as hard as she possibly could, but no matter how hard she tried, no one appeared to help them. At this point, the only choice left was to try their luck in the tunnel. But as Avani was approaching the drain opening, a giant crocodile mouth suddenly appeared from below. The predator managed to climb into the pool and began crawling toward Avani, but Maruti told her to back away very slowly so as not to provoke the animal. The crocodile kept getting closer, but Maruti used the chair as a shield, slamming it hard against the floor to try to scare the animal. Fortunately, this plan worked. The crocodile backed off and then lay on the floor to rest with its mouth wide open. Neither Avani nor Maruti understood why the crocodile didn't attack them, but they decided to keep silent so as not to anger the creature. Time passed, and things got worse as a large storm began to approach, causing the hotel sign to fall onto the pool area's canopy. To keep warm, Maruti took his lighter and improvised a torch. Then the two took turns sleeping while the other watched the crocodile. Suddenly, the young man realized the predator had disappeared and tried to alert Avani, but when he looked to the side, he saw the girl being devoured by the monster. Fortunately, it was all just a nightmare. And when he woke up, he saw Avani was still safe watching the crocodile still asleep. Time continued to pass, and the couple began to get hungry. At this time, Maruti remembered the bag of snacks still on the chair. Avani came up with the idea to call Popo, and then she ordered the little dog to take the snack bag and throw it into the pool. After many attempts, Popo finally listened and managed to drop the food bag down. But unfortunately, it fell right next to the crocodile, and with a very quick movement, the animal swallowed all the food. Despite a heart-stopping moment, the crocodile then continued to sleep. The couple had to think of another way to escape the situation. Looking around, Maruti saw the lights mounted on the pool wall and told Avani to climb onto his shoulders to reach them. The girl did so, and when she reached the light, she had to break the glass to be able to grip the socket inside. However, just as they were about to succeed, the crocodile woke up and lunged to attack them. Maruti told the girl to hurry. Avani began hitting the glass hard, but she still couldn't break it. The monster continued to advance, and at the very last second, Avani broke the light. But Maruti was forced to run to avoid the crocodile's attack. Therefore, the girl had to cling to the small gap of the light while the broken glass shards cut into her hands. Even worse, the crocodile tried to bite her leg, but Maruti threw the torch at the monster to attract its attention. The crocodile immediately changed targets, while the young man used the chair to protect himself, simultaneously luring the animal back to the drain. Using all his strength, Maruti pushed the crocodile toward the drain, causing the giant creature to slide inside the opening. At the same time, Avani fell to the floor with injured hands. But when the crocodile tried to return to the pool, the couple quickly closed the drain cover and used their strength to hold it tight. Both used their own bodies to press down on the drain cover to keep it secure. The crocodile temporarily gave up its intention to attack, while the two continued to sit on the opening as rainwater began to pour in and caused the pool to gradually fill up. In a moment of despair and frustration, Maruti blamed Avani for everything that happened, arguing that if she had agreed to leave the pool from the beginning, both wouldn't be trapped in this place. Avani immediately replied that Maruti was no different from her managers. He didn't truly care about her and had only taken advantage of her fame from the start. According to her, in the end, he didn't care about anyone or anything but himself, and it was for that very reason that he didn't want to take responsibility for the unborn child. Feeling guilty, Maruti apologized to her, saying he didn't approach her for fame, he simply didn't feel ready to be a father. However, no matter what they decided about the baby, he would still stay by Avani's side until the end. Finally, the couple reconciled, and when the crocodile temporarily disappeared from sight, they tried another way to escape the pool. Maruti tied his clothes together and then tried using the headphones as a hook once more, throwing it toward the ladder. However, the headphones couldn't bear the weight, while the water in the pool continued to rise higher and higher. Even worse, they heard the sound of the crocodile approaching. But instead of crawling into the pool, it appeared outside and headed straight for Popo. Terrified, Avani asked Maruti to help her climb the wall to bring the little dog down into the pool. She called Popo. The dog tried to jump toward its owner, but the leash was still caught tightly on the chair leg. The monster continued to approach slowly, while Maruti urged Avani to hurry because he couldn't hold her much longer. The girl grew more and more stressed, constantly calling Popo, and finally, the dog jumped into the pool but was left hanging by the leash. Avani reached it and was almost about to unfasten the cord, but tragedy struck when the crocodile was faster. Lunging to bite and devour the poor animal, Avani fell into the water and burst into tears over the loss of her little dog. But there was no way to save it. Maruti could only try to comfort his girlfriend. A few minutes passed, the pool became increasingly full of water, the water level had risen to their shoulders. The crocodile took that opportunity to jump from the edge of the pool, but instead of attacking immediately, it only observed the high as if playing with its prey. Realizing they couldn't continue waiting there, Maruti told Avani to crawl into the drain and swim through the tunnel to find an exit and go call for help. Although she didn't want to leave him behind, she still obeyed and managed to swim to the opening, while the crocodile still showed no reaction. When she reached the other side, Avani saw a passage blocked by a very heavy cover and tried to open it when a human hand suddenly appeared at the edge. She quickly realized it was the hotel employee who had been attacked by the crocodile earlier. In addition to getting his flashlight, Avani also heard this person's phone ringing. When she answered, she heard the policeman's voice and tried to call for help, but the phone lost signal in the tunnel, so the call was cut off. Avani tried to find a part of the tunnel that could catch a signal, but then she saw another crocodile standing right in front of her. The girl immediately went completely silent, and fortunately, the animal did not detect her presence and walked away in the direction of the pool. At the same time, the policeman appeared with his patrol car. Seeing him, Maruti immediately called for help, saying he was trapped in the pool and didn't know how to swim. The policeman then went to get a rope, tied it to the car, and tried to throw it down to Maruti, but he couldn't reach it. The policeman said he would go down into the pool to help him, but before he could do so, the second crocodile suddenly lunged at him, dragging him underwater and tearing him apart in just a few seconds. Not long after, Avani returned to the pool and called Maruti. He told her to help him reach the rope, but at that moment, the crocodile began pulling the rope with all its strength, causing the patrol car to crash through the gate and fall straight into the pool. Taking advantage of the crocodiles being distracted, Avani helped Maruti swim to the car, and then both crawled inside, where they found a radio, a pistol, and signal flares. The car was now suspended on the iron frame of the gate, and that frame could become a bridge to help both escape the pool. However, they had to hurry because the crocodiles had begun to surround the car. Waiting for an opportunity to attack, Avani took the gun and went to the back door, then shot the glass to open a path to crawl out. Afterward, she began to climb the iron frame. As Maruti tried to follow her, one of the crocodiles suddenly lunged through the windshield. The young man tried his best to reach Avani, but as the creature drew closer, the girl held the gun and tried to aim at the crocodile. Finally, Avani pulled the trigger, but instead of hitting the monster, the bullet hit the gas tank, causing a giant explosion. The crocodile was blown into pieces, but Avani and Maruti were also thrown back into the pool by the pressure, and the patrol car slipped off the iron frame. Therefore, the only way to escape now was through the drain, so Avani helped Maruti swim to the tunnel. When inside, they saw many different exits, including one with a loose door that could be crawled through. Avani went first and passed through quite easily, but when it was Maruti's turn, his leg got caught in the iron mesh and he couldn't free himself. As the young man began to drown, Avani tried to pull his leg out, but it was ineffective, making her remember the tragic night when she lost her parents in the car sinking in the river. However, this time she didn't give up, continuing to use all her strength to pull Maruti's leg until she finally freed him just seconds before the second crocodile appeared on the other side. Fortunately, the creature couldn't squeeze through, and Avani brought Maruti to the surface. Both finally washed ashore. The young man was no longer breathing at this time. Avani tried to save him, but Maruti didn't react at all. She burst into tears, believing she had been unable to save him, until Maruti suddenly coughed water out of his lungs and began to breathe again. Finally, the couple reunited after facing the greatest nightmare of their lives together. A few months after the crocodile incident, Avani and Maruti filmed an interview to talk about their new project. However, instead of just being a commercial collaboration, they had much bigger plans. Finally, the couple revealed that they were building a family and their fans would soon meet the new member, the baby about to be born very soon. After watching, I only draw a very simple lesson when going to a hotel: remember to check reviews, check the pool, and check the pipes. And if you see the water naturally draining away, don't stand there wondering. Run first, then go online and give a 1-star review later.